Yes, we are live. Hey, guys. I am James Hake. This is Sunday, October 6th, 2019. 2019, I almost feel like I'm saying 2019 too long because I almost want to say 2020. I guess I can't wait for President Trump to get elected. And we are going live a little early, but make sure that you stay tuned because I'm going to get to this girl praying for Trump. I say girl, she's a woman, young woman, I think. And but before that, I want to give you a little bit of news and just a quick hash over what we're going to talk about today on the Hake Report, live on Hake's channels, which is YouTube, Periscope, D Live, shout out D Live, Twitch, Mixer, and Facebook. Streaming on all those, well, sending data to Twitch. I don't know if we're streaming on Twitch. Maybe Twitch is banning me. We shall see. But Twitch is owned by Amazon, and they severely censored Jesse. And so, oh no, we are on Twitch. Nice. Sweet. So, yeah, they severely censored Jesse for so-called hate speech, which doesn't exist, especially not in Jesse. All speech is hate speech if you're a hater, if you have hatred in your heart. So all these people that are censoring people for hate speech, they're the ones committing the hate speech. And then, yeah, whatever. Anyways, who cares? Let me give you a quick news update because I don't have much time. Another quote-unquote whistleblower, rolling my eyes, steps out of the woodwork. So here it goes. Fox News reports and Yahoo News and a bunch of others came out today. A second so-called whistleblower / traitor comes out of the woodwork. Another CIA liberal has come forward. Anonymously, of course, supposedly with firsthand knowledge of the Trump-Ukraine phone call, which Trump said was perfect, the president. And this deep state employee, deep state being, the so-called intelligence community, unelected bureaucrats who are trying to run the government. This deep state employee, his lawyer, quote tweeted George Stephanopoulos of all people. George Stephanopoulos being the pro-Clinton so-called media guy who's you've seen on TV for however many years, decades. And he confirmed that he was representing multiple, I said both of the weasel spies, but maybe it's just multiple weasel spies. He didn't say weasel, but I'm saying weasel, whom the media are calling quote-unquote whistleblowers. So both are protected from retaliation for leaking info since they're going through the so-called whistleblower process. That's, I guess, why they can get away with calling them whistleblowers. Dumb. The first one did it based on gossip. He had no first-hand knowledge of what went on. The second one is doing it based on cowardice, kind of like the hashtag #MeToo movement. Oh, somebody else did it. Now I feel brave enough to come forward, basically. That's how I lean on. He's leaning on the foolhardiness of the first guy. And I call it foolhardiness because it's very foolish to go against President Trump. All who will go up against him shall fail. At least that's how it's been going. And Trump knew a second one was coming. He tweeted about it. But this one, the attorney is Andrew P. Bakaj. And I do have pictures of him in case you can find some. I have pictures and some tweets from him. Some tweets are just kind of instructive about who this guy is. Look at that. That's embarrassing. He actually shared that. He's wearing like a bike shirt. It's all tight. And it looks like there's alcoholic beverage advertisement on his bicyclist t-shirt. And speaking of bicyclists, today is Ciclavia or something like that, where a bunch of LA people are riding their bikes and they're closing down roads. So come early to church so that you can make sure that you get over here if you're in the LA area. So that was another picture. He was on the left with those group of friends at some game. But this guy, Bakaj, Andrew P. Bakaj, whatever his name is, however you pronounce it, his team, he says, represents multiple so-called whistleblowers. He is former CIA, this Bakaj guy. Show his picture again, just so you can be looking at him as I'm talking to. Meaning he's a liberal. He's a former CIA, so he's a liberal. He's the deep state and a Trump hater, of course. More about this guy. He was quoted extensively in a Think Progress article about separation of alien so-called families, separation of families. So-called families, right? Aliens. They call them migrants. Let's see. Think Progress. He was quoted in that outlet. Think Progress is a far left, extreme far left outlet that's closing down, I think I heard. He called it, quote unquote, barbaric in a tweet. That supposedly children weren't getting their diapers changed because we weren't allowed to touch them or something. Our officials weren't allowed to touch them. So these migrant children, babies or whatever, wearing diapers, who are coming in, being trucked in by these illegals so that they can get in. They are using these children in order to invade. Oh yeah, this is the tweet from. I got this from the Fox News article. You can zoom in on his tweet with George Stephanopoulos below it. This is the guy. These illegal alien babies being used by so-called adults, used so that adults can invade the country. And then most of these babies will grow up, by the way, to become America's enemies as well, as this man apparently is. He called it 12 days of Christmas, that 12 people involved with the Trump campaign. I was looking back at his tweets from 2017, 2018. 12 people involved with Trump, George Papadopoulos, Flynn, and all these people, Manafort maybe. Go up a little bit. That one is actually, the one above it is pretty good, I think. He called it 12 days of Christmas that all these Trump guys were getting dinged. That's evil. And then I'm showing the tweet right now, or Joel is for me. He's all, this is happening. And then he's all mad because what? Reuters reports back in June of 2018, U.S. plans to announce withdrawal from UN Human Rights Council. Wow. Wouldn't that be nice? If we withdrew from the UN Human Rights Council. So this guy's a fake. Let's see, what else? He got, like I said, I've talked about the human right, anything with human rights in it, you can be sure that it's liberal, it's not about what's right, it's not about real justice, it's not. Every now and then there might be something about something right, but for the most part, they're just a bunch of liberals. He's been pushing whistleblowers to come out and be protected. And he pretends the identity of the whistleblower doesn't matter. Somebody tweeted it. I'm going to get to the rest of the show, but real quick. He says, somebody tweeted and he retweeted that it's about whether the whistleblower's complaint is valid, the merits. No, it matters who it's coming from because it has no merits. It's against Trump. His complaint is not valid. His identity matters because he's a CIA liberal and he wants protection. The accused has the right to face his accuser. Trump has the right to face his accuser. And this guy also retweeted John McCain and Evan McMullin, also known as McMuffin. He was there's John McCain's tweet. Andrew P. Bakaj retweeted John McCain back in 2017. And Evan McMuffin about the Trump-Russia thing. So this guy's a conspiracy theorist. He hates Trump. He's got TDS all over his Twitter feed. There's Trump thanks Putin for expelling the diplomats. We wanted to reduce our payroll. And he's like, seriously, what the blank? So that's this guy. That's the lawyer representing so-called whistleblowers. Just FYI, and that leads me to the little Ethiopian girl's prayer, or little Ethiopian lady's prayer. Let's go ahead right in with this part A. You're gonna like this, maybe.
I'm not really good with prayers or anything like that, but I just want to say thank you, Mr. President. And I know we have a political warfare right now, but I strongly believe that it is a spiritual one as well. And I want to make sure that, I know that Americans are going to wake up and we're going to get back to looking to God instead of social media, and we're going to look back to Jesus, because Jesus saves, and this country was founded upon, the Constitution was build on godly principles, and we're going to fight for that. And I just want to encourage you guys to pray every single day for this nation. I want you guys to pray and pray and pray. I am from Ethiopia. I live in a very beautiful city named Valparaiso, Indiana. Mike Pence, I know you're from Indiana, and I have strong people who are able to raise me, and I love God, and I want to pray real quick. All right. Okay. All right. I don't know if you guys want to bow your head. Okay. All right. Dear God, I'm not really good at this, but I just want to say thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to be in the White House. Thank you for giving us a great leader like Trump, Mr. Donald Trump. And I would like to thank you for waking up our nation. God protect us. God protect our president as he's going through so much right now, so much scrutiny. God, I believe that you gave him to us, and I believe that he's going to accomplish so much more. I know you have more for us. Jesus, I ask you to protect us and walk with us. In Jesus' name, the enemy tries to attack us every single day. He tries to discourage us, but he has no room. He has no room, no more. And that's all I have to say. Oh my God.
Look at this. Trump is hugging her and lifting up her hand. For those listening. So nice. Mamma mia. Oh, you jaded people, unimpressed.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
Hey guys, so we're gonna be talking about this crazy lady who prayed. Wasn't that nice? And then we'll talk about the TDS people. And then we'll talk about the people fleeing liberal areas. Do not flee. Go ahead and run.
Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report, the Hake Report, la la la.
So, wasn't that a nice little prayer from that little lady? That was Trump talking, having these bunch of blacks over at the White House event. And let me just quickly show you. It was a nice little prayer. You guys don't have to be mean about it. I don't see anybody being too mean. But people, and I know that they kiss up to the blacks and stuff. And doesn't Trump he's always empowering women. But regardless, that was a nice prayer. Thank you to that lady. And let me give you a little bit of information about this woman who prayed. This is according to Benny Johnson on Twitter. He's a conservative guy. Nice guy. Mahalet was born in Ethiopia, and he claims that she was abandoned by her parents. Who knows? She lived as an impoverished orphan, or didn't know her parents, right? Mahalet was adopted by a Christian family. He called it loving Christian family at 11, age 11. A Christian American family, actually. So she came here at 11, kind of like Ilhan Omar. Too bad Ilhan Omar can't be more like that. Unfortunately, the people who come here end up more like Ilhan Omar than this girl. We all know this. This week, TPUSA, Turning Point, brought her to the White House. She asked to pray for the president, and he brought her on stage. So let me just show you where before that prayer that you just watched or heard. This is Trump pointing at her and inviting her on stage. It's kind of funny. It's nice. So he's shaking black people's hands, clapping, saying thank you. He points to somebody in the crowd who wants to talk to him or pray or something. And he's like, come here. Isn't that nice? So she's coming up on stage. Mike Pence shaking the black people's hands too. And there she is. And he invites her to the podium. And she looks young. She has her purse. She's wearing her purse. That's funny. So that was before, that was leading up, and then she's like talking, and then finally they turn on her mic because they were playing this patriotic music, God Bless America stuff. So then let me just show you afterward, there's this racist chant that the blacks chant, and they're pumping their fists and stuff. Part C, Joel. That's racist. Very racist chant. And the blacks were fist pumping too. Well, kind of fist pumping. But it's funny because people are brainwashed, including myself, when whites do USA, it's like seen as like aggressive, like racist or something. It's funny. Just an interesting side note. I thought you would like that. And like I said, most people are more like Ilhan Omar, most of these foreigners that are coming here. But she's Ethiopian. Ilhan Omar is Somalian. Ethiopians tend to be like Christians. Not all of them are liberals. I think, right? I don't know. Yeah, we have Ethiopians with Bond. That's nice. So, whereas the Somalis, bad news, Muslims, refugees. We need to send them back. Exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth. So what's that? Heads up for those in LA. Like I mentioned before, I think starting 7 a.m. today through afternoon, I guess, people who are trying to come to church, make sure you come, use Waze, I guess. Maybe Waze knows the road closures. I got this news from Waze. So there's this dumb event called Ciclavia or something like that, where a bunch of liberals and probably a few conservatives bicycle around LA on their bikes. So from 7 a.m. on, in case you're coming to church, make sure that you plan accordingly. Leave early. Doors open 10:30. Might as well come here early. And there's places around here, Nick's, coffee shop in Delhi. It's open in case you get here a little early. It's a nice area too. But we will be moving soon. And by the way, I want quickly, before I get to calls, you guys can call in 888-775-3773. Quickly, I just want to give you a message from a quote that I really like about those who are trying to flee the liberal areas and get away from the liberals. You can run, but you can't hide. So I have this drop, Joel. I think it's called Go Ahead and Run or something like that. Let me know when you're ready with it. It's a funny drop that I got from... I used to listen to Christian music, and I got it actually from Christian music, believe it or not. But it's from a mainstream movie, sort of a cult favorite. And it's actually like expresses what I think about these people that want to leave and get away and stuff like that. I'm not for that. All right, let's go. Here's the drop.
That's it. Go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama. Me? I'm through running. I say we stay here and fight it out.
Isn't that nice? And I would show you the movie clip, but I don't want to get like a copy strike or something. I think I can use the audio, right? Hopefully. If you guys recognize that movie, that's cool. I know what movie it is, and I can tell you. And I first heard these in some like Christian punk rock songs. Because as a high schooler, I used to listen to Christian punk. And then in college too. And there would be like these, in the middle of this song or at the beginning or end, it would be like, go ahead and run. Run home and cry to mama. Me? I'm through running. And then he's all, I say we stay here and fight it out. And that's just so nice. Play an example. What does that mean, Dylon? Oh, play an example of the Christian punk rock music? I'll share it. I'll share it on my channels if I can find it. I can't find this. There's this band called Calibretto that I was listening to, and they play like the whole part of that. And then at the end of the song, at the end of their little album EP thing, they played this one. Do the all Men from the Future one. They played this one.
All Men from the Future?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Pause.
Are all men from the future loud-mouthed braggarts?
Nope. Just me, baby. Just me.
Isn't that nice? That's like typical American. And it's so funny. He said, in case you didn't hear it, are all men from the future, loud-mouthed braggarts? And he said, nope, just me, baby. Just me. Believe it or not, all those lines came together as like in one little scene. All those lines are from like the same movie. It's called Army of Darkness. But that's kind of irrelevant. Like I don't even know if I would like this movie. It's like supposed to be a comedy / horror thing. But it's like a cult favorite. But I like the lines. And it's Calibretto. Very nice. Sort of a spin-off of the Evil Dead. Evil Dead? I guess that was like a darker, more serious movie, and then the spin-offs became more comedy, more wild. I think. I don't know. I never got really that into horror, and I never got into cult favorites that much. Cult favorite movies. But it's just nice. And I think of that as kind of like Trump. All these arrogant people talking about he's the loudmouth braggart. Braggart, or I always thought it was braggart, but it's braggart with a T. I thought it was braggart with a D. But anyways, he's all Michael J says it's the best movie ever. Snow Goose says there are better. Yeah, I don't know. And Salazam thinks this is a beta lines. Forget you. Anyways, I just like that, and that kind of reminds me of Trump. This guy is just being real and staying and fighting, and all these people think that he's the narcissistic, prideful one, when they're the narcissistic, prideful ones. And anybody with a British accent basically is. No, I'm kidding. But it's kind of funny that this guy is calling him a loudmouth braggart, when in reality he's the one coming off as arrogant. Anyways, a braggart is somebody who brags. So, I say you stay here and fight it out. Like all you guys that want to move, maybe you have families, maybe it's right to move, but I don't know. I just don't buy it. I say we stay here and fight it out. We can win back California if all you guys don't run. But Orange County, a whole bunch of people left. And a whole lot of liberals are leaving too. And going into these states and turning them blue. It's crazy. By the way, Botham Jean's neighbor got shot. Did you hear about that? That is crazy. And I didn't really read the background of this story, but Botham Jean is the black guy who was walked in on his, he was in his apartment eating ice cream, according to what I've heard on, you guys' comments, in Dallas, Texas. And this white female officer, coming off of her 13-hour shift, walks into his apartment somehow, thinks it's hers, thinks he's a home invader or something, and shoots him to death. On purpose, because she mistakenly went into the wrong one. She thought it was her place. And there's a lot of speculation about this. She was convicted of so-called murder, which is total injustice. And this boy, Botham Jean, his younger brother, 18 years old, I think, from what I heard, forgave her in court this past week because she was sentenced to 10 years in prison, something like that, for this so-called murder. Should have been like a manslaughter or something. Wrongful death, right? Wrongful death lawsuit, definitely feasible. But the one non-evil guy, the brother, forgave her. But the neighbor of Botham Jean, this black guy's neighbor, testified against her. And that may have been what Earl from Michigan was talking about with, oh, I heard knocking on the door or something like that. As if it matters, right? As if that's beyond reasonable doubt that she went in on accident, right? So this person was killed, shot and killed. That's like crazy. That's Dallas, right? Dallas, Texas. What's going on in this part of Dallas that people are just getting shot and killed? Maybe this woman was semi-justified for being a little on edge. If the neighbor got shot and killed, what kind of area was she living in? I'm just curious about stuff like that. And I have some thoughts about some prior calls that I got this week, Friday and stuff like that, and that I heard Jesse get too, about, from these intellectuals and liberals and white haters and cop haters and Jesse haters and Hake haters that just were bashing us for taking up for stuff. Cops are anti-male. I mean, the law is anti-male, right? So you kind of have to. Kind of don't have a choice, unfortunately. They always arrest the man and believe the women. I know, man. Got to retrain the police officers on that point. And the law and all that stuff. It's the corruption of society. And anyways, real fast, Bernie needs arrest. He needs to, drop out. Bernie Sanders, he had a heart attack. It was confirmed. I reported about the 2 stents going into his heart. It's too late. But he already done his damage on the country. He needs to just retire. And by doing his damage on the country, I mean that he has moved the Overton window, right? So it's all right word, right? And it's actually a socialist word too, I think. Communist word. It's a Nazi and communist word. Not that the alt-right are Nazis, but people want to claim that they are. Some of them are sympathizers with it. That's fine. Anyways, Bernie moved the Overton window because he has socialism fully accepted now in society, amongst the Democrat Party. Fully accepted. Some of them are like, oh, we don't want to be known as socialists, but that's what they are. All of them. All of them are that. Maybe one of them is not. 2. That one guy, Webb, Jim Webb or something like that. He was a military guy. He ran in 2015, 2016, but he canceled. He quit. He was basically he seemed like a Republican, except that he was a Democrat. He seemed like an establishment, I don't know, maybe not even an establishment Republican. He seemed kind of conservative, but he's a Democrat. It's weird. And so, the Bernie bros, they would say that the mainstream Dems are basically Republicans on economics. Fair. Rhinos. But, Bernie changed it so that, healthcare for the illegals, socialism, full on, no, just openly accepting socialism and all that stuff. That's Bernie. And so he's pushed for minimum wage like crazy, increasing the minimum wage to $15 an hour, I think. And he was part of that push. He's ridden the wave of the brainwashed people. White supremacists don't exist, Dark Star. Nazis do. Being a Nazi sympathizer is every bit as fine as being a Democrat sympathizer. Democrats are worse than the Nazis. They killed 60 million. 60 million babies. Innocent babies. That's crazy. If you're a Democrat sympathizer, you're worse than a Nazi. So, Bernie has done his damage. And all the young people were for him, the dummies. The people that didn't know better, including Anomaly liked him for a while. He wasn't really a socialist, but he kind of liked him. Thought he got tricked into thinking that Bernie was not establishment, even though he's been in office for decades, been a politician his whole life. Well, our whole lives, right? So, yeah, Bernie's fake. A fake, and he needs to quit. And to be honest, Elizabeth Warren should quit too. She just reminds me of what she is, which is a college professor, a Marxist college professor. Nasty. Oh, I have some contradictions. I pointed them out this week, but I just want to point them out again. And I tweeted this one out. Washington Post, Washington Post is going after Trump nonstop. And they're promoting this impeachment like it's a real thing. And so they referred to, in one article, I saw them refer to this Burisma gas company, energy company, Burisma Holdings, that paid Joe Biden's son $50,000 a month or something like that, something crazy like that, to serve on their board. He had no experience in the gas world or energy world, but he was a board member. And then that was within weeks of Biden being named. Corrupt Ukraine. So Washington Post, in one article, and I think these might have even come out the same day, called Burisma Holdings an obscure oil company. And then in another article that I read, also about this whole impeachment thing, they call it the biggest private gas company in Ukraine. So is it the biggest private gas company in Ukraine, or is it an obscure gas company in Ukraine? I guess you could consider Ukraine sort of obscure. So you can consider the biggest private gas company obscure. That's the only way that I can rationalize Washington Post lying like that or contradicting. So that's just one example of Washington Post contradicting itself. They hate Trump so bad. And then Ben Sasse is another rhino who hates Trump. He said, quote, Americans don't look to Chinese commies for truth. And Ben Sasse is a never Trumper. He's hated Trump since before Trump was elected. And he's a Republican senator, right? Senator Ben Sasse of Nebraska, something like that. So he was lying against the Chinese, and I caught him this week, because he was saying that they were sending police to shoot protesters or shoot a protester, right? As if they specifically sent these Chinese police to crack down on the Hong Kong demonstrators, who the media are calling pro-democracy protesters. I don't fall for that, and I don't want democracy anyways. I'm not for democracy. That's the same thing as socialism, communism. That means mob rule, and most of the mob are evil. So evil rules. That's what democracy is. So I say we also don't look to Democrats or Trump haters for the truth, because Ben Sasse is a Trump hater. Ben Sasse said that they sent the Chinese police to shoot the protester, when it turned out somebody sent that protester to go assault the cop and then get shot in the chest. So Ben Sasse lied. And so he's a rhino, and I'm for Trump, because Trump is for the country. Trump is real, but as opposed to democracy, what am I for? I am for a constitutional republic run by decent people, meaning like people like Trump, white, straight, conservative, Christian men of power. That'd be nice, right? They should be Christians. They should be the real kind, not the liberals, not the fake kind. And they shouldn't even be the conservative fake type of Christians, because there's a lot of conservative fake Christians, right? And they're weak, and that brings out the worst in people. So, anyways, let me get to some more fake people. I was reading this article about this singer that I've heard her name, and I don't even think it's her real name. It's not. Lana Del Rey. And I was reading this article about her, and it's like an interview by her from, I think it's LA Times. And Lana Del Rey is I think Lana, was I saying Lana? Yeah. Lana Del Rey. And I don't know. I wouldn't even notice that I was saying Lana. I'm going to call her Lana. If Trump can call, you, James is incredibly dim. Well, thanks for watching, Darkstar 1398. I'm going to call her Lana because if Jesse can call Louis Farrakhan Louis Farrakhan, then I can call Lana Del Rey Lana Del Rey instead of Lana. And he can call if he can call Beyonce Beyonce because she's married to Jay-Z, then I can call, who's that woman who's married to somebody? There's somebody, it's escaping me right now. I'll get back to it later. It was funny though. I was joking with Kelly about it. This person has a weird last name, and I called her, Legend. Oh, yeah, who's Legend? John Legend's wife? Chrissy Teigen, something like that. I call her Chrissy Legend. If Jesse can call, I keep on calling him Trump. If Jesse can call Beyonce Beyonce, then I can call Chrissy Teigen. I can call her Chrissy Legend because she's married to John Legend, who's a wimp. Who he hates Trump. He has severe Trump derangement syndrome. So does Chrissy Teigen, Chrissy Legend. But anyway, Lana Del Rey is another person not to listen to, not to pay attention to. But I just want to point out some information about her. I was reading about her in the LA Times. You know, I have this iPhone, right? Whatever. It's a liberal company, Apple is. Run by a gay guy now. Steve Jobs died, and so now it's run by Tim Cook. Whatever. But they send you Apple News, right? They curate the news for you. I prefer Drudge, but whatever. Some of you guys don't even like Drudge. But LA Times has this article how actually this was linked from Drudge, come to think of it. How Lana Del Rey reinvented herself. This is not even her name, right? And modern rock stardom. So she talks about California and stuff. I think she moved here. Has a boyfriend, and then she talks about the righteous anger of Greta Thunberg. How do you say it? Greta Thunberg. And Greta Thunberg, if you forgot already, she's kind of hard to forget, but yet the stuff that she says is pretty forgettable, but she's like young, so it's memorable, and she's kind of has a nasty, mean face, so it's memorable. Greta Thunberg is the one who the UN flew over to America, or somebody did, to come lecture the UN people on our soil about so-called climate change, man-made climate change. And she doesn't want to believe that you're evil. Otherwise, and she refused to believe that. She refused to believe that you really know and really understand how bad the climate is. Because if you understood and did nothing, then you would be evil. And I refuse to believe that. Talk about a liberal brainwashed kid. Of course people are evil. But the people that are not fear-mongering about climate change are not the evil ones. So Lana Del Rey believes in the righteous anger. See, there's that word. So all these Christians that believe that they are righteously angry when they're just mad, meaning out of their minds, you sound just like this Lana Del Rey woman. So she goes on. I have more about her. In 2017, Lana Del Rey, this whatever her name is, she gave her fans instructions on how to cast a spell on Donald Trump. So if you like her music, cut it out. Yeah, there it is. She gave her fans instructions on how to cast a spell on Donald Trump. It didn't work. She's like, it's slow, I guess. And I also saw that she was part of the Time's Up movement. She supported the Time's Up movement. She wore some like white corset thing. I'm not showing the picture because it's a Getty image, and that's a copyright issue. So you'll just have to do without. So she supported the Time's Up movement, which is a part of the Me Too, #MeToo movement, which is an anti-male thing pushed by gays and women and liberals. Evil movement, of course. I couldn't help but notice this line where she's talking about when she used to be like a waitress, and she said that she took on a lot of other people's energy, meaning like if they were mad, they would get that anger would get into her because she was sensitive that way. It reminds me of Jesse's guest on The Fallen State recently, which I just listened to it. I wasn't able to watch it when it came out on Friday. Jesse interviewed this guy with, he's not with anybody, but he was friends with Jimmy Dore. He's a so-called progressive, and now he's a comedian, but he's also doing a podcast like all comedians do because I don't know. In some cases, they're better podcast hosts than comedians, in my opinion. But anyways, like this guy, Graham Elwood. Graham Elwood is sensitive. And so it just reminds me of this Lana Del Rey woman who took on a lot of people's energy meaning emotions, because she's just sensitive that way. And isn't it just interesting that liberals are like that? And then she's dating this guy who's a cop. He's a real cop, but he's also in a reality series. Some TV show, doesn't matter. But then she's all, well, the thing is, he's a good cop. So she's disqualifying cops as being mostly good. A lot of you guys don't think cops are good because you think that they're against men. But that's beside the point. She thinks cops are bad, not because they're against men. She thinks cops are bad because they're so-called racist and stuff. You know, cops tend to be more down to earth or closer to, they experience this stuff that you and I don't. And so that's usually where they pick up their so-called racism. They experience it firsthand how these criminals are. And incidentally, some of them stay liberal because, you know, the blindness doesn't even allow you to see what you're in the middle of. You see it and you still can't even fix it. You still can't even grasp the reality. So like some people stay liberals, kind of like the Border Patrol. A lot of Border Patrol are for, a lot of Border Patrol people are for Trump, but some are not. Some are turning on Trump. Same thing. They see the reality, but they are emotional and fake and all that stuff. So he's a good cop. He gets it. He sees both sides of things. And this is a white woman, supposedly, I think. Let's see, what else? Oh, she brings up toxic masculinity like it's a real thing, too, of course. Because she sings about romance or something. So she's all, even good guys don't know what toxic masculinity is. She's complaining about even good guys don't know what toxic masculinity is. Graham Elwood knew. Maybe she should get with him. He's sensitive. And it's unfortunate, too, because she's, like, friends with this woman from this older group called... What's that band that Stevie Nicks is in? Dylon, help me out. Anyway, Stevie Nicks is a singer in some band, Fleetwood Mac. It's a really good band, but Stevie Nicks, I think, is really severely Trump derangement syndrome woman. So, should have stuck with just singing. And then lastly, she says that she was inspired by Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old climate change radical communist, basically. Communism is the climate change push. And so all you guys that are nationalists who believe in this climate change thing, I got a call from a nationalist who believes the climate change thing. That's why he doesn't like conservatives. Or one aspect of why he doesn't like conservatives. He's never been a conservative. He used to be liberal. Now he's a nationalist, but he still doesn't see clearly on the conservatism thing. It's understandable because most conservatives are weak. And so no wonder, like, a lot of these people are falling for this stuff. But she's like, here, listen to this quote. She's defending anger. I'm not saying it's similar to what I've experienced, but it's interesting when people say how angry she is. This is Lana Del Rey talking about Greta Thunberg. And Greta Thunberg came off nasty. Unfortunate, because she's not going to live that down unless she turns over a new leaf, which she could and should. She says, I think one of the reasons that climate change advocates haven't haven't made more progress is because they're kind-hearted. That's laughable. She's all, it's not the Trumpian way of the iron fist. It's very interesting to see someone who's young, so young, come off as so angry. And she's applauding this. And then see people's reactions. I'm sure she smiles and is nice to her family, but why should she smile at people who are killing the planet? Brainwashed person. These entertainers should not talk. They're turning us off. Like, I'm never going to listen to this woman again. So, like, she's all, I really like when she said something to the effect of, I don't want to hear, this is her, she's endorsing this quote that I just trashed. I don't want to hear you say that we understand and we hear you, because if that were really true, it would mean you were evil because you're not taking any action. And I refuse to believe that. That's what she says, and this woman is applauding that. I think that line also sums up the hashtag #MeToo movement, meaning she believes all those women that are making these false accusations against men. And her husband is a cop. And Dylan is saying this cops should be the most sexist people on earth, like anti-female, whatever. And every cultural shift we've been experiencing lately. So this woman is promoting the hashtag #MeToo movement, hashtag Time's Up movement, the climate alarmism. And so she's a nasty person. She hates Trump. And she wanted to cast a spell on Trump. Just a little thing that I came across. By the way, I have some drops for for Joel. You want to play the videos?
Okay.
Speaking of, like, relationships, she's like Lana Del Rey says, even good guys don't know what toxic masculinity is. Well, I wonder if she would think that Joel is toxically masculine.
Why don't you make like a bear, boo-boo, and go hibernate somewhere?
Play it one more time.
Why don't you make like a bear, boo-boo, and go hibernate somewhere?
That's what Joel tells his girlfriend.
I have had it, boo-boo.
Is there a third one?
No, that was all three.
Oh, okay. That was all three?
Uh-huh.
What was the third one?
I have had it, boo-boo.
What was the second one?
Why don't you make like a bear, boo-boo, and go hibernate somewhere?
Is there a third one? First one?
How dare you interrupt, boo-boo?
Oh, yeah. That's what Joel tells his girlfriend. How dare you interrupt, boo-boo? That was from Yogi Bear, right? That's Yogi Bear.
Yeah.
Okay. I just thought I would share that with you. Just kind of fun. But going back to this whistleblower thing, it's just very interesting and very important to note that all these people that are claiming that it doesn't matter what, it doesn't matter who the whistleblower is, it just matters the substance of the complaint. There is very little substance to these complaints. They're just saying, oh, Trump called Russia and Ukraine and wanted to, whatever, wanted to force them to investigate a political rival, and they always cast it as political rival, rather than the vice president of the United States potentially protecting his son and doing other crap. Joe Biden is Barack Obama's vice president. Barack Obama was super corrupt. Scandal after scandal, and they wouldn't look into it because the media is uncurious about him. They wouldn't even get his college transcript or his real birth certificate or anything, you know. So there's a mess. And he lied and lied and lied. And they just let him off the hook because they loved the black liberal. And by the way, speaking of blacks and liberals and all this conservative stuff, yeah, you know, up at the White House, Trump had all these people over. It was a nice event, but it was called like Young Black Leadership Summit, something like that. That's fine, whatever. You know, it's like kind of kissing up to the blacks or whatever. They shouldn't need that. The blacks shouldn't need that. Nobody should need that. And stuff like that. But I just really like that prayer. It was just a nice little innocent prayer by that girl. Or a young woman. I don't know how old she is. She came at 11. I don't know how old she is. The one who prayed for Trump. It was just a nice little prayer thing, and it was nice to hear the blacks saying USA, chanting USA like the whites do. So whatever. But this whistleblower, it was very handy for me to encounter this whistleblower's lawyer, attorney, and find out who he is. That way, it kind of is very instructive on where these people are coming from. Because it's just kind of interesting. And I was about to say, in arguments, they say that is a, what do they call it? I was about to lean towards Joel and ask him. He's not going to know. Yeah, you didn't go to college, right? No. Smart. So I went to college and I learned so-called critical thinking and probably got a little dumber for it. And this critical thinking book frequently quoted, who's that popular radio host, Rush Limbaugh, as spouting fallacies. So I learned these logical fallacies, supposedly, right? And one of the fallacies is a valid argument. And that fallacy would be ad hominem. Ad hominem. And the reason that it's valid is you just look at people and you can tell that they're honest or dishonest. And you look at their lives and how they're living it. You can tell whether it's working for them or not. Ad hominem, meaning attack the person, is extremely valid. If it weren't, then the liberals wouldn't be doing it all the time, and the media wouldn't be doing it all the time. They are fake people. They're hypocrites. So yes, ad hominems are very valid. And here's my ad hominem argument against this so-called these whistleblowers. Look at this lawyer. He's a Trump derangement syndrome guy. He is talking about, and he's like quote tweeting George Stephanopoulos, who is a corrupt pro-Democrat guy from, what is he, from ABC? Yeah, he's from ABC News. And then what else? This guy, look at the picture of him. Look at him. Who are you going to trust, this guy or Trump? Show them the biker shirt one. It's nasty. And he has alcohol on it. Shameful. And he's like mad that the U.S. plans to get out of the UN Human Rights Council. The Human Rights Council, nothing to do with the UN is good. And much less anything involving human rights. I've debunked the human rights thing before in another video about human rights campaign. That's a pro-gay group. UN Human Rights Council is just all about forcing people to accept refugees and stupid stuff like that. And then he's like taking the side of Bob Mueller in the Russia investigation back when that was relevant, which it never really was, but back in 2018. And he's mad about this whistleblower protection program. He was probably, I would guess, behind the push or applauding the push to make it so that you could just go off of gossip in order to whistleblow. So you just hear something about Trump, and then you can whistleblow him, so-called. So he was probably behind that stuff, because supposedly there was a backlash against one so-called whistleblower in the past. Oh yeah, I'm gonna get to him. And he's retweeting John McCain, the late John McCain from 2017, who's pushing the Russia nonsense, and he's like celebrating the downfall of these people in Manafort, Gates, Roger Stone, Jeff Sessions, Jared Kushner, Papadopoulos, Don Jr., Michael Flynn. General Flynn, I forget what his first name was. Michael Cohen, Gordon Ross. He's all excited that those guys are going down. He called it 12 Days of Christmas. So this guy's not a objective person. He's quote tweeting, he's retweeting Evan McMuffin, the Rhino Republican, never Trumper, who tried to run against President Trump in the 2016 election. Retweeting him about Putin. And what else? He's mad that Trump said, that's fine that Putin expelled U.S. diplomats from Russia. Thank you. We want to reduce our payroll. Isn't that nice? Trump's always about that money, saving the money. Good. And then he had Trump derangement syndrome about the North Korea thing. This is the lawyer who was representing these so-called whistleblowers. He's not a clear-thinking person. He's scared about Trump with the North Korea thing back 2 years ago, right? Calling it playing nuclear chicken. He retweeted some other establishment type of guy with the blue check mark, saying playing nuclear chicken with North Korea could make the Cuban Missile Crisis look like Pinochet, whatever that means, like a board game, I guess, is what you would call it. Slow down, think strategy, Mr. President. So he doesn't see the wisdom of Trump. So he's a hater. And then he's all mad, too, because he was all mad a couple of years ago because Trump was considering perhaps terminating Robert Mueller as special counsel, which maybe he should have, maybe he shouldn't. I don't know. And so he's like, what? So he's a Trump derangement syndrome guy. And that makes it valid for me to just say, it's nothing. They got nothing. And, speaking of stuff to debunk, I did a search on YouTube just to see, just to find something. Because there was this interview that Jesse did with this doctor, Dr. Shiva, I think he's from Massachusetts area or something. I think he's an Indian, but he's running for office or ran for office. And Jesse interviewed him. And he's actually a really smart guy. I think he invented email was one of the people who invented email. Maybe he invented it parallel with others. But this guy, Dr. Shiva, who came on the Jesse Lee Peterson show, I searched for his name, and he actually debunked the climate change thing. He said there's no such thing as, when I tell you that there's no such thing as climate science or climate scientists, it's all physics. I got that from him, Dr. Shiva, who was on Jesse's show. So check that out. But you search Jesse Lee Peterson Shiva, and what do you find? You find YouTube trying to downplay Jesse as much as possible. So you see Dr. Shiva first, and when I say Dr. Shiva, I mean his video of Jesse's interview with him on his own channel. And then you see Jesse's interview, which has more views and probably came out first. And then you see the live show from which it came, because we streamed it live. I think it was back in May or something like that. And then you see, what do you see? A whole bunch of BET videos and other things. Some of them are about Jesse, Destiny, all these people, non-conservatives, non-Jesse people, promoted all above Jesse's videos. So yes, the shadow banning is real. You can't be like, oh, there's no proof of the shadow banning. No, that's real severe shadow banning. They're pushing him down in the search results, and it's crazy. And there are other things that are going on too. But anyways, Dr. Shiva also is an expert on the vaccination thing. And so I would tend to trust what Dr. Shiva would say, as opposed to this guy. I have a meme about a guy getting vaccinated. And he is a beta male, and he goes by Beto. And I saw this, I just happened to see this tweet, a screenshot of this tweet. And so he's shared this picture or video of himself getting vaccinated. I guess he's getting a flu shot, which some of you get them, some of you don't. Some people have died from them. I'm not going to get a flu shot. I'll just try to stay healthy. But I think he's getting a flu shot. He's like, see, vaccinations are good. And so he's wearing this t-shirt, looking all Gen X, because he's Generation X. And there's this doctor with, getting ready to give him a shot on this shoulder, because he has his white t-shirt sleeve rolled up on his left arm. And somebody on Twitter said, I see Beto's guns were already confiscated. And by guns, he's talking about biceps, because Beto's arms are skinnier than mine. And then, and they call those guns, right? When you have big arms, you got guns. And Beto is a Trump derangement syndrome guy. And he hates the Second Amendment. He hates your right to own and carry good quality guns such as AR-15s, AK-47s, all that stuff. Tanks. He doesn't want you to have tanks. He doesn't want you to have bazookas. And he said, "Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47." And he said that. And he likes to cuss. He likes to make a show of cussing. So that's just interesting. By the way, last point about this vaccination thing. You know, there's every now and then, like these actors, sometimes they'll say something right. But then, of course, sometimes they'll take it back. And there's this actor, very famous actor, he's been around forever, who I believe, he's married like black women, but he's like Italian or something. I believe that he has like an autistic son or something. And so like he was concerned about these vaccines. So like in short, I trust Dr. Shiva, not Beto. Beto hates Trump. He hates our right to guns, and he's promoting vaccines. So no vaccines for me, at least not the ones that he's pushing. So anyways, another guy who's pushing vaccines, or pretended not to be for vaccines, now he is because he's likes to be bullied by the liberals. Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro once said, I think, that these vaccines, he's concerned about it, could be causing problems with the children, autism and things like that. They say, you know, there's this whole thing, like there's supposedly evidence in favor of it, and there's supposedly people who say that it's not true. I don't know, but I don't trust the vaccines. You know who's pushing them? The liberal media like crazy, and they're mocking the anti-vaxxers. So if the media is pushing it and hyping it and doing hit pieces on anti-vaxxers, then I'm not going to side with the media for sure. I don't know about the anti-vaxxers. Some of them are a little kooky, whatever, but whatever. So Robert De Niro has severe Trump derangement syndrome. He's a coward. He was not very pro-immunization, not very pro-vaccine due to his son being autistic or something. But then he got bullied by the liberal media, and he shows up in this movie. Isn't he in the movie Joker? Yeah, he's in the movie Joker, so don't watch that movie. I'm just curious, has there been any drama about the Joker, real life drama? Because they were concerned about shootings and stuff. They've been placing police at these events. Police at these movie showings. Because they're concerned, and they're not allowing people to come with masks or costumes. Because it's a crazy situation. A whole lot of copycat shooters and stuff like that. People getting so-called inspired. Video games. Anyways, you know who else is in that movie? A weak guy, I would say. He strikes me as weak. The star of this movie, Joaquin Phoenix. His brother died, by the way. His brother OD'd or committed suicide or something years ago. River Phoenix. Only reason I know the name River Phoenix is because I was back when I had MySpace. I did that "Who do you look like" thing, and I looked like River Phoenix. I looked like June Park, incidentally, oddly. I think that's a woman, actually. I looked like, let me move on to the more manly ones. I looked like, they said I looked like that guy in, who's that guy who did Passion of the Christ? Man. Joel doesn't even know. That guy who cussed about he's Catholic, he cussed about Jews, and now he's coming back. I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, what's that?
Jim?
No.
Caviezel?
No, not Jim Caviezel. He's the one who put out that movie.
Oh, Mel Gibson?
Yeah, Mel Gibson. And actually, somebody else told me I looked like Mel Gibson, my parents' mailman, back when I was living at home. That was when I didn't have my beard. Anyways, Joaquin Phoenix seems pathetic. He plays every role looking pathetic. as an emperor in that movie Gladiator. He's very pathetic, weak. As an alien fighter, he was in that movie, actually with Mel Gibson, I think. And he's kind of pathetic. As Johnny Cash, he's kind of pathetic. And as Joker, I think he's pathetic. So, do they have a messed up family, the Phoenix family? Is that even their real last name? Interesting. So, yeah, don't watch that movie. I did see a couple of reviews because I am just kind of mildly interested in it. I liked Batman growing up and Joker and stuff. I didn't really like Joker, but I liked Batman. But I heard that it was very tiring to watch for those who are movie buffs because it has all these nods to these other movies. And so if you're familiar with all these other movies, you'll get annoyed because it has all these nods to these other movies. And I heard that there's no redemption in the movie. Of course, right? Liberals don't know anything about redemption. So their redemption stories end up being kind of fake and shallow anyway. So what do you want a redemption from a liberal movie for anyway? But basically, the story seems to be about a weak guy trying to be nice, he transforms into a weak guy who no longer tries to be nice. That's the gist of the movie that I gather. And he has like a crazy loser mother, according to another review that I read, Cernovich. And Molyneux said it has no redemption and he didn't like it. So, anyway, that's your movie review without watching the movie from me. So, yeah, be nice to the blacks who like Trump. They're nice people. Well, maybe some of them are. All right, guys. See you in church with Jesse Lee Peterson, rebuildingtheman.com/church. Subscribe to Bond Rebuilding the Man on YouTube, and we'll see you there. All right, guys. Take care.